So this is the AWS Certified Security Specialty exam, and I do have the certification, and I'm actually recertifying, so it gives me a good opportunity to also teach it and actually prep for my recertification. Just a little bit about me. When I started a company about 11 years ago, I was a front-end and .NET developer. Then I moved to the DevOps tech lead. Then I became the QA architect and manager. And basically, they gave me one intern. I became a manager. But it was really an honor because Great American really is careful about who it makes its managers. And I was very thankful that they put that trust in me. And then I became manager of training and documentation. What an exciting term. And if you guys want to learn more, get involved in a group, I do run a meetup. Uh, Right now we have we have 599 people in the meetup. So it's your opportunity. If you want to join to be number 600, you can do that. Just what's coming up with the meetup is, of course, this Saturday we'll be talking about acing the AWS exam in security, which we're doing today as a kind of a prep for that. Next month we'll be doing crypto bots. The month following we'll be doing Azure Architect Professional. So definitely one you might want to attend. That is an exam. We're pretty much an Azure shop, and so that's important to us. Then data engineering on Microsoft Azure, another one. We got a lot of data testers here. Acing the Azure AZ 500 and becoming a Google professional architect. I'm going to cover that exam. I'm also going to add two more after this. They're coming, and it's going to be the data analytics and the networking for AWS. That will be coming. With that said, my standard introduction is that we are right in the middle of a paradigm shift. Our technical DNA is rapidly changing, and it's going to dictate how we think and who does the thinking. Oh my goodness, what does that mean? And in addition, we're on the verge of quantum computers, which is going to really accelerate what we can do and the experience we expect over the web. It's coding today is going to be like hand stitching of yesterday. You got these guys standing in the shop going, "There's just no way these ladies will ever be able to do what, or a machine will ever be able to do what these ladies do." And the next thing you know, the shop is closed down. There's 10 machines running in the back there doing all the sewing for you. That's going to happen with AI. AI is not coming. AI is here. And we did a presentation on Colab, and I showed you how to generate code just by typing in a comment. So, and that's the GPT-3 engine, GPT-3 engine, and it has 187 billion parameters. That's weights and tuning parameters and biases. But the next engine coming along, the GP4 engine, is going to have 100 trillion parameters. It's going to be pretty much coding like a human, just about. And that's before quantum computing. So get ready. In 5 years, we will not be coding the same way we were. All right, here's the icebreaker. If you had unlimited funds, what would be your dream vacation? If you had unlimited funds, what would be your dream vacation and how long would you stay? Okay, excellent. So with that said, just a little bit about certifications on AWS. Every cloud provider has its certification sheet that you will follow. And you typically want to start with the cloud practitioner. And I encourage people to do that. So I got 15 years experience. I said, start with cloud practitioner. The reason I say that is because there may be some concepts there, or they may be doing things the way you're used differently than what you're used to thinking about them. You may pick up some stuff that you don't have to pick up later in the more advanced ones. They do get progressively harder. The next step that most people do in the Amazon track is do the architect, operational, or developer, and they'll do the DevOps track or the professional solutions architect. I say there's also the option to do the security, and the reason I say it's important to do security is about 20% of it's going to be on the associate exam. And so when I did my Azure certification, I actually did the security before I did the associate, and that actually gave me a leg up. It was hard though. I mean, this exam is not easy, but if you do that, then you get 20%. And also, what I like about security is it's really practical. You're going to use it. I mean, I have interns that go log into my account and they do things, and I pay for that account. So I make sure I lock them down, and then they're not going to make a mistake. Or I put them in a group in case I want to get rid of them. I just pull them out of the group. I don't have to change their permissions. So that's kind of how it works, and you learn some really useful things by doing security. All right. And there's a bunch of other ones here that I want to do in the future. I bet more, for example, I want to do a presentation on the advanced networking and the data analytics. Those are two really cool ones that I don't have. So I look forward to doing those. With that said, this specific exam is doesn't require any certification before. It lasts for 3 years, thank God. It used to be 2 years, and Amazon increased it to 3, so that you don't have to take them all the time. It's $300 unless you've passed one. So if you passed one, you'll get a credit of $150, and it'll only be 150. So previously, if you pass an exam, exam's 170 minutes, about 65 questions, 75 to 80% is passing. So it's pretty up there. It's not this typical 70% passing. They're saying that you should have 5 years of IT experience and implementing security solutions. And I just say, well, you just need really good at taking exams, right? So I take one of these exams about every month, and so I'm getting better and better. I think. Am I learning more? Yes, a tremendous amount, but I'm also getting really good at taking exams. So if you need advice on taking exams, passing exams, I'm really the guy you want to talk to. Okay, the exam format in this case is multiple choice and multiple select. So you're going to study for this a little differently than you might in an Azure exam. Azure, during the pandemic, turned off their labs, but they have turned it back on. So, and those labs are fairly difficult. So, if you're going to do an Azure exam, you're going to really make sure you emphasize both hands-on and um, the testing part. But let me tell you that you don't want to become a paper dragon either. So, you want to get your hands on as well. I'll give you a resource today on getting that hands-on. Okay. I actually, the last time I took the security exam, the night before I did 3 labs, and there were like 5 questions from those labs I did. With that said, this exam has 5 domains: incident response, logging, and monitoring, infrastructure security, identity and access management, and data protection. And there's the percentages: 12%, 20%, 26%, 20%, 22%. Looks like you might want to focus on infrastructure security, but they're all going to be on there, and you're not going to know which one is which. So make sure you just focus on all of them. All right, with that said, I have a few tricks for passing exams. And when I go into the exam, the first thing I pray is it's not a hard question at first. Because if I get a really hard question I don't know the answer to, I just freak out. It takes me a few minutes to calm down. And that's the guy who's been takes one about every month now. So I still get nervous. But the first thing you want to do is when you walk into the exam is scan the answers first. I just look at the answers. And then when I look at the answers, next thing I ask myself, is there an architecture that I know of? A pattern that Amazon's using over and over again. And if it is, I can sometimes just get it from reading the answers. If I know that pattern, oh, they're trying to describe that pattern. And I don't recommend this, but I have in the past, when under pressure in an exam, just read the answers and answered the one that matched the architecture that I knew. Don't do that. Make sure you read them all, and make sure you read and know why the ones that that you're not answering are wrong. That's not always the case when dealing with multiple answers, and many times there's one answer, but many times there's multiple answers, make sure you try grouping the answers together and comparing them. That helps. Make sure you take the elements of the question into account. So an answer might sound really good, but it also may be asking for enhanced security, for example. Well, if all my answers sound good, but only one has MFA in it, multi-factor authentication, that's the one. So be careful about having really good answers that do something that's very functional, but it doesn't answer all the question. And we'll look at one today, I think we have to look at. Also, when you have a hard question, what I always do is I narrow it down to 50-50, and I choose one of them, and then I move on. So I try to do that as quickly as possible. Okay, let's think about the question. Let's get down to 50-50, choose one and move on. And then because you can always go back, don't get stuck on a question because it doesn't matter if it's a hard question or easy question, they all count the same. And what I find out many times when I get to the end of the exam and then maybe there's 15 that I have 50-50, I may not go back and even look at them because I know if I have 15 that are 50-50, I'm going to get 7 of them. And that's passing. So just keep that in mind. All right, with that said, there's your tips for passing the exam. And I also have my study plan. Now, a number of years ago, I think I did the AWS Professional Architect, and I taught that, and one of the guys, Charles Lester, passed it. And I had this really complex study flow, and had all these charts and diagrams and what you should do and what you should study, and if you did that, you would definitely pass the exam. And one of the guys in class says, "I just ain't got time." So at that point, I said, "You're right. I'm gonna start creating the Mike Ain't Got Time study plan." So this is the Mike Ain't Got Time study plan, and it's one that's, I think, if you do it and you master it, you're going to pass the exam. The first thing you want to do is do the exam readiness AWS Certified Security course. So what Amazon is doing now is giving free courses, and also They also have an readiness exam questions, which are now free. You used to pay for them. They give them out for free now. So you should take that at the end and see how well you do. If you're hitting about 80% on that exam, you're probably going to pass. Right? With that said, after you do the readiness course with AWS, I will inform you that you will not be ready to pass the exam. That alone will not get you passing. But you'll learn a lot. It's really good, and I've actually used some of the slides, their slides in this presentation. Additionally, Chandra Lingam, excuse me, Chandra Lingam has an excellent course on Udemy for the AWS security, and we are trying to get a Udemy license for everyone at Great American. So if we get that through, you can go to your supervisor and ask for a Udemy license, and if they approve it, you'll get one, and you'll be able to use Udemy for free. Otherwise, go to Udemy, look up the course. If you're going to take the exam and take that course, and wait for the deal. And I'm going to mention Wiz Labs as well. So when it comes to Udemy and Wiz Labs, wait for the deal because you could pay for a course $150 or the next week you might pay $10. So they're always running deals on Udemy. So make sure you wait for that deal before you spend all your money. With that said, after you've done this course, Wiz Labs has some great questions, and I'm going to show those to you today and how easy they are to work with. They also have a bunch of labs. So I would suggest for this exam that you actually do all those labs. And there's 15 labs, so there's not many, but if you do all those, it will really help you in your grasp of the information. You'll get that hands-on piece. The one thing I do like about Wiz Labs, if you're brand new to the cloud, I would suggest that you use a Wiz Labs or a Code Academy or something like that, so you're not absorbing the expense of your on your own cloud. So I use my own AWS cloud. And I will tell you, in Azure Cloud, and I will tell you over the years, I have paid quite a bit of money where maybe I forgot to turn off a resource I created, or maybe I, hit a service I didn't realize was going to cost a lot of money, even if it just idled. There's some services if you turn on by accident and they're just idling, they're charging you. And so you don't want to wake up the next day and find out you have a $500 bill. I have. Now, sometimes you can go back and ask forgiveness, but that's why I like if you're a beginner that you kind of get into it and learn what the cloud is about and how to work with it before you actually start working with, your own account. Even now, my last exam, I just passed the, trying to think which one it was. It was an Azure exam. It was the Azure um, AZ400. It was a networking exam. I just passed it. And I had done a lab, right there. I was working labs right there before the exam. And then I went and took the exam. And I was so happy I forgot to remove the resources. I ended up with a $21 bill that week. So, yeah. And if you look at the servers for Amazon, for example, and also for Azure, some of these servers are $300 a month. So you can actually create a big bill if you're not careful. So anyway, a reason why you might want to use Wiz Labs, for example. All right, with that, I want to take a look at some of these links. Let's take a look and see what Amazon's giving us, okay? I'm real excited about this. They came up with this a few years ago, and it's nice to have this for free. So like I said, I'm really excited about this resource because it's free and you don't end up having to pay for it. So if you go here to AWS Security Specialty, you should have a login, and then you can schedule an exam. Okay. Also, you can come down here, and it will show you. It's got an exam guide, and it covers kind of what I just talked about. They have some old questions. They used to always have these question PDFs they'd give out, and then they have these practice questions, which are like the exam that we used to pay for, is now for free. And they have this specialty course, the readiness course, that you can get into and take as well. And once you're in, you want to enroll in the course and go ahead and take it. Okay. And I'll just leave it at that. And I think it's just an excellent course. I've taken it and I learned quite a bit from it. But once again, taking that will not allow you to pass the exam. Okay, keep that in mind. There's more prep. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Udemy course. I'll go ahead and click on that. And this is a really nice course. I actually right now it's $99. So if you wait next week, it'll probably be 19 or 10. So don't buy the $99 one if you're going to go take the exam. Let me go ahead and go to my corporate account. You can see it's going to have all the topics lined out in video, and it's going to have a series of labs that you can walk through as well and do the exam. And so housekeeping, infrastructure and support, architecture and cloud-based solutions, EC2 is storage refreshers, monitoring, Elastic Cloud, refreshers, Route 53, CloudFront, Global Accelerator, identity, IAM, messaging, SQS, SNS, and you'll learn all about these various topics they lay it out and do. He does a great job, and he has labs all along the way. He also has a quiz that you can take at the end. So kind of really does it real well. Once you're done with this course, you've done all this stuff, then you have a pretty good chance of passing the exam. But I always like to go in and actually do some questions to get an idea of the type of questions that are going to be asked on the exam, but not only the type of questions, but also if you have a good exam bank, it gives you links that you can go read and learn more. And so you want to figure out where your weak spots are and learn more about that topic. So take a look at Wiz Labs real quick and show that to you. Did I put Wiz Labs on here? Yes. And this has practice tests, it has video course, it has 15 labs. And so you can actually, all these labs you do for free. And you can see also, I looked for it because it had Lambda Edge, which was basically, it allows you to intercept traffic on the HTML tags of coming in, going all the way through the chain to going out. And so I was happy to see that one on there. So there's a lot of nice labs here that you can actually work through, and it will help you understand the concepts you're trying to learn. They have a video course if you don't want to do Udemy, and they have labs, and they have a practice test. What I like about the practice test is if you get on Udemy and you do a practice test, it could be 3 hours long, and then you wait till you get done with it, and you're so exhausted you don't look at it until the next day. So it doesn't really give you immediate feedback. What I like about this is you actually can get on here. Let's take this exam, for example, and you start the quiz, and it has a practice mode. And when you go to that practice mode, you can actually bring that up, and you can, go look at the questions here. And this one is your company has multiple accounts of various regions that contain resources such as EC2, CloudWatch, DynamoDB, EBS, Redshift, RDS, S3, Elastic Beanstalk, IAM, autoscaling, and the like. The IT audit department requires a report on all of the resources that are used by your company. Which of the following will help you provide a report in the easiest way? So create a PowerShell script. Usually when they're asking you to script something, it's usually wrong. And the reason it's usually wrong is because they want their cloud services to be easier than scripting. So you actually, why did you sign up for this cloud service anyway? Next one was create a bash shell script. Once again, I'm going to throw out the scripting. So I have a choice of two. Use AWS config to get all the list of resources. Use CloudTrail to get the list of resources. So what CloudTrail does, if you understand the architecture, it actually looks at APIs. All API action that happens, CloudTrail is recording it. What AWS config is doing is looking at the config of your system. So the configuration of your system changes, it's going to record that. Not only that, if your configuration changes, it can actually do an action using a Lambda function and correct it. So let's see what it's asking for. Your company has multiple accounts in various regions that contain resources such as EC2, CloudWatch, and the like. The IT audit department requires a report of all resources that are used by the company. Resources used by the company as opposed to API interactions. I think that's config. And now what I can do is just see the answer, see if I got it right or wrong. Oh, deconfig. Thank God I got it right.
Oh, I thought it's cloud trial, Mike.
Yeah, CloudTrail for the CloudTrail for the API. So if I'm doing an API action and I'm logging into something like, for example, and I'm watching what that guy's doing. So if you want to watch what a guy's done, like for example, if you lose a key or you have a key that's been compromised, you want to find out who has that and how it's being used and all the interactions that he's touching. You can use CloudTrail to track this guy through the system. Okay. Yeah. So, but AWS config is give you a list of things. So, and what it does, it tells you why it's incorrect, correct, because it makes it easier to monitor resources across multiple accounts. And then, hey, I really didn't understand all of that. Is give you a little bit more information. I can come here and I can actually go to a link and find out more about it. So that's what I like to do. I kind of like to make a game out of it and learn as much as I possibly can and read the docs and find out more about it. So if you got a good quiz bank, it has all that stuff. It has all that stuff in it, links and explanations. Okay, not just answers. All right, with that said, that's all we got for AWS. We're going to move on. So if you haven't used Wiz Labs before, it's nice. It's not, I think it's great for the security exam. Other exams, it just depends on the exam. It's really hard, though, to find good test banks for the security exam for AWS. I don't think that many people actually take it. And so there's just not a lot of info on it. So Wiz Labs as well. Plus, in my slides, I'm going to have tons of questions that are not in Wiz Labs that you can use to help you pass the exam. This is not the finished product that you'll see. I'll send that on Monday. All right, talked about that. We're going to take a look at some of these elements of incident response. When you're doing incident response, you're going to have trusted advisor, cloud formation, service catalog, VPC logs, AWS config, AWS API gateway, AWS CloudTrail, Amazon CloudWatch. I mean, there's a ton of different things, and they're going to have questions on each one of these, so or potentially questions on each one of these. So you need to know each one of these systems very well. And I think I ran out of time. Sorry about that. Let's do another question. A company requires an IP packet data be inspected for valid or malicious content. Which of the following approaches achieve this requirement? Now, let me tell you something you need to know. When you see packet inspection, you're probably immediately thinking VPC flow log. Because what a VPC flow log does, it attaches to the NIC card, and everything that flows through it, it watches. But it turns out that VPC flow log does not inspect the packets themselves. And so if you know that, then you know that it's not the VPC flow log. As a matter of fact, there's really nothing that does that. So you're going to have to go out and get a third-party application to do it for you. And you can see it says configure the proxy. Oh, did I? Yeah, I'm saying why it's not the VPC flow log right here. So here you go. So here, configure the proxy on Amazon EC2 and route all outbound VPC traffic through it. Perform inspection through proxy software. That's the proxy software you're most likely going to have to go to the marketplace and get. And then configure the host-based agent on each EC2 instance within the VPC. Perform inspection within the host-based agent. So that's agent that you're actually bringing in. So you're not going to use that VPC flow log. So that's a gotcha. So if you see VPC flow log and it's inspecting packets, you know that's not VPC flow log. Just let you know that. VPC flow logs does not inspect packets. All right. That's all we have time for today. I sent this out to you guys. I will be recording this for my meetup as well.